Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to STG Weekly, episode 87. Today we're going to be talking about Mars Matrix, which is a really cool game, and everyone should go play it. So, we are joined today by Lord Hypnos, who has offered to comment for the games.
Here I am.
So normally we would have a couple more people in here. We'd have Aquas or Frenetic or Soda Machine, but Soda's not feeling too well, Aquas is busy, and Frenetic is at Arcade Expo in Banning right now, probably having an amazing time. So, it's just me and Lord Hypnos today. Sorry, guys. This has been a pretty widely requested game, and actually a pretty difficult one to find resources for. Lord Hypnos volunteered to help out with it, and I'm glad we finally got it off the ground, because I've been wanting to do this for a while. I'm actually a big fan of this game, I'm just really, really bad at it, so I'm quite curious to kind of dig deeper with it and learn the tricks. So,
Hopefully.
So, before we go any further, are people, are we seeing this okay? Is the audio okay, etc., etc., etc.? Just want to make sure we're not starting off with something completely messed up. Anyway, let's get into like a little brief introduction. What is Mars Matrix?
It's a shooter that came out in 2000 by Takumi. It was one of the I believe that Capcom kind of put an effort into trying to bring shooters back to the arcades right around that time, and it was part of that, along with like Pro Gear and I know there's others, Daimahu maybe. I think so. Yeah,
that does sound like it's about the same time.
Yeah, so it's on the CPS2 hardware, and then also it got a port to the Dreamcast, probably pretty soon after it was released to arcades, because I think the idea with that whole project was to kind of attract people to it by like giving them the console port right away so that they could practice or whatever. Although I don't actually know too many details about it.
Sorry, we had a brief technical issue here with the video. That's really weird. The videos are all the same size, so I don't know why they're getting rescaled when they load up. But anyway, Mars Matrix is a really cool game. As you said, it was released for arcade and Dreamcast. Both versions are quite playable. I don't know the version differences, and we'll get into that maybe a little bit later.
I probably know all of them, although I don't know if I want to, or if it would be worthwhile to discuss the like really minimal stuff.
We should kind of go over it, and then let's talk about kind of the basic mechanics. What is the game? How do you play? Obviously, there's this very famous shield mechanic, and there's sort of a level up system, I don't really know the details of how those work, so I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, definitely. So there's actually only one button in the game, in the original arcade version, there's only one button, and you tap it at different rates to get your different weapons, and there's actually kind of 4 different weapons, so that's kind of crazy. If you do rapid tap, you get normal shot. If you do kind of a slow tap, I think maybe it's like it's about once per second, I suppose, then you'll get the piercing cannon, which is kind of like a charge attack / melee attack, because it has a shorter range, but it's really powerful.
I see that weapon used a lot and recommended a lot, but I really have a hard time keeping the rhythm up myself.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, and I'll get into that a little bit more as well, because the Dreamcast version has the auto fire, of course.
Yeah.
And then there's the shield, which is very unique. I don't think that there's any other shield that's really all that similar. And that's if you hold down the button, you get the shield. And there's a gauge that empties There's a couple different gauges on screen. I'll try and cover all of them. But for the shield, there's a gauge that empties, and if you empty the gauge all the way, you get a bomb that is not very useful. I wouldn't really recommend using it most of the time, but it clears all the bullets from the screen, and does not help you with scoring at all or deal especially much damage. I mean, it deals a decent amount, I guess.
So it's basically just a survival tool?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and actually a lot of people, it seems like, have trouble, like, because maybe they played Gigawing first or whatever, so they have trouble, like, figuring out that you don't have to do the GHB, or the bomb, the gravity hole bomb, is what it's called. Mm-hmm. And you can actually empty the gauge just slightly, and you will suck up the bullets, and they will kind of, like, form a ring around you, basically, and then you can direct them by kind of moving away from the from where you want them to go while releasing, and then the gauge will start recharging, and it takes, I think, about twice as long to recharge as it does to empty, and you can't actually use it again until it's all the way recharged, sort of like the Gigawing shield.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then there's also the gold chaining,
mm-hmm.
which is basically the essence of the scoring system, and the way that works is that you collect. You have there's another gauge, and it's a chaining bar. I think those are usually called. And so if you collect a gold cube, it will fill the chaining bar a certain amount, and then if you collect another gold cube while the chaining bar is active, it will the second gold cube will be worth more, etc., etc. I mean, the way it works is kind of like you get one cube, and then the second cube will be worth 2, and then the third will be worth 3, etc. And so if you get like crazy long chains, like 1,000, then each one is worth 1,000 experience. Is what it's called. Also worth mentioning that there are larger cubes, and those will fill the chaining bar more so that it doesn't empty quite as quickly, which is very important in a lot of places. Let me think. But it will add the whole value of the large cube. So if it's plus 50, then it will add plus 50 right away. So, like, basically, if you were getting 50 individual cubes, you'd be getting a lot more experience than if you get 1 plus 50 cube, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It does make a lot of sense when you're actually playing. But yeah, and then, trying to think if I'm missing anything here.
I mean, it sounds like you've covered a lot of it, but I don't know the intricacies of the game, so...
Sure. Oh yeah, that's right. So the experience, it powers up your weapon as well. It will do it kind of at... You'll gain 1 level to your weapon, which will make it stronger and/or wider than it was before. I think it's wider with the blue weapon, and then stronger with the red weapon. And I think it may be, I can't remember if it starts at 100 or 1,000 that you start gaining levels, but it starts out being kind of geometric, like you need 100 experience or whatever to get 1 level, and then 1,000 to get the next, etc. But then once you get to the... I wish I could just remember the levels that you gain experience at. Well, it'll be obvious when we're watching the videos.
So there's like a visible jump in terms of how things look and behave. Okay, and Solunas from chat is saying it's 1K.
Oh yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, and then also the final thing with the experience is that it's also a multiplier. So however high you get your experience, every single thing that you get points for basically will be multiplied by that. So you can get pretty crazy high scores once you've got 2 2 million experience or something like that.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's one thing that I've always thought was really interesting about this game is that the high scores get insane. Like I don't
yeah,
even know how many places that is. Is that trillions? I mean,
yeah. In the unfortunately in the arcade version, it counter stops at 999 million 999,990 or something like that. So you kind of that I think it takes about it takes somewhere in the range of like 3 million experience or maybe like 3.5 million to counterstop it. But then with the Dreamcast version, they took away the counterstop, so like uh, that doesn't happen. Also, the other thing is that some of the enemies are worth more in the Dreamcast version, so it just ends up having higher scores all around. But with the
interesting.
Dreamcast version, like if you'll get 1 trillion points if you get somewhere in the range of like 2 million experience, maybe like 2.5 million, and then if you have like 5 million experience, which as far as I know, that's pretty much just like Rob's score is at that, and that's like 3 trillion, I believe.
Wow, nuts.
And,
So
and it isn't like directly related as such because it is just a multiplier, but it's pretty much related, and
yeah.
the experience is actually comparable between the arcade and the Dreamcast versions. In my opinion, whereas the scores definitely wouldn't be.
Okay, that's actually an interesting point to make because I knew that the games weren't an exact port of each other.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's some improvements, but also some significant changes to the scoring.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So it's the same game, but it's just tweaked a little bit.
Yeah, right, exactly. The differences are minimal enough that, like I say, I think the experience is pretty much comparable.
Mhm.
Um, but they changed the value of the enemies, so the scores aren't comparable anymore. Also, the Dreamcast version has auto fire,
Mhm.
which I wouldn't necessarily recommend using auto fire on the normal shot, because the thing with the auto fire in the Dreamcast version is that it adds a slight amount of lag to activating the shield.
Oh, okay.
So like you do kind of benefit from not using it, but at the same time, especially with the piercing cannon auto fire, that can make certain parts a lot easier.
So, Kempop posted in chat the specific level up requirements. So I'm just going to read these
good.
off really quickly. It sounds like it starts at 1K, and then
Yes.
basically it's a powers of 2 thing once it gets to 100K. So at 1K, it's so the second level is 1K, third level is 10K, fourth level is 100K, then fifth level is 200K, 6, 400, 7, 800, and eighth level 1.6 million.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. And I
Yeah.
guess it just kind of goes to show just how geometric the game is, that even
Yeah,
in terms
right,
of the power-up system, there's already an exponential, system going on. So that's
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, and the one thing that I'd add to that is just that the piercing cannon is always the same power, and especially in the early stages, that's generally what you're using, at least for a lot of the time. So I don't know.
Because it's pretty
just,
powerful, right?
yeah, it's powerful. It's more powerful than the normal shot generally. It doesn't have as much range,
Hmm.
of course. So there are definitely certain spots where you want to use the normal shot just so that you can take out more enemies. Because again, enemies are what gives you points. The other thing with the scoring, and this I haven't done any tests on it or anything, but it's from the strategy guide that Randorama wrote a very long time ago, is that if you hit an enemy with the piercing cannon, you get as much points for each pierce as you would normally get for killing it.
Oh.
So there are a couple of areas it's not a huge part of scoring, I wouldn't say, but there's a couple of areas where you want to basically piercing cannon milk particular enemies.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, what about ship types and what about extends? How does that work?
Oh yeah, that's important. So there are two ships. The blue ship has a narrow shot that's more powerful, and I'm pretty sure it starts out at the same power that it ends with, but the range, or it gets a little bit wider with each power up.
Okay.
And it's like one. I mean, it's very narrow to start with, so that's significant. And it's fast. It's faster than the other ship, which is the red ship. Which makes, I mean, it makes it better for some things, but then also harder to dodge really tight bullets sometimes, I guess, with it. Whereas the red ship, it's a little bit more maneuverable. And then the red ship, and it seems to me also, like, I've never seen anyone else write this down, but it seems to me like once you get to about 5, or level 5 shot on the blue ship, it slows down just a little bit, which is really nice for the later levels when you need to dodge tighter patterns. And then the red ship starts out with, a very wide shot, and then by the time it gets to the highest level, level 8, it's as powerful, I think, as the blue ship, but it has more range, so it's actually more powerful than the blue ship once it's fully powered up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's kind of the inverse of what I would normally expect. I would normally think that the kind of narrower ships would end up being more powerful through the whole game, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's just how it is. But it can be, I mean, I find it a lot harder to chain with the red ship because of its lower speed. Mm-hmm. So it can be hard. I guess I've never tried going that far with the red ship, but I would imagine it would be hard to get it fully leveled up. But, it's been done before.
So
as we see.
So then extends. How does that work?
Yeah, the extends. So the first extend you get at level 4, I believe, level 4 shot.
So it's related to the experience, not the score.
Well, only the first extend is related to experience.
Okay.
And then the second extend you actually just get, it's a fixed extend that you get from the mid-boss in the 4th stage.
Okay. And there's only those two, correct?
Yes, those are the only 2 extends. So it's pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean the game definitely gets pretty heavy on you. So that is a pretty significant restriction, and I think an obstacle for people who are kind of trying to get interested in the game. So, is there anything else to say? Did we cover it all? So Lunas has a question. What level do you recommend trying to get in terms of weapon power if you're just aiming to survive?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you'd want to get for the red ship. I think you probably could beat it without leveling up at all. Well, I know you can because I've seen videos of it, but it would make it a lot easier for you if you got to, with the blue ship anyways, if you got to at least level 5. But I think level 5 would be pretty adequate for everything. And actually, if you're chaining the first stage, which is the easiest stage to chain, you'll probably get to level 5 by the end of it, or certainly by the end of the second stage. So
awesome.
Yeah,
all right.
It doesn't actually take that long to power up the ship.
All right. Well, it looks like we're just hitting the end of our attract mode replay here.
Okay.
So do we want to kind of segue into your replay, or is there something else we should talk about first?
I think that I've pretty much covered all of the basics.
Yeah, I think you have.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
You can do it.
Well, while I set this up, how about you talk a little bit about this replay? If you have anything you want to say. I mean, if you don't have anything you want to say, we can just go right into it.
Sure. Well, I guess to start with, I apologize for the video quality because I don't have a capture card or anything, so I just used a digital camera while like playing it, and
The heck?
it was a long time ago. There are a couple of things that I do now uh, that I didn't do when I did this replay, and I'll try and point them out. Um, but it's still a pretty solid like survival replay and decent score as well. Like I think I got 1 trillion some. And then yeah, it's the Dreamcast version that's important, and uh, it's a PC monitor that I was running the Dreamcast through, so kind of interesting.
Okay.
Makes it so that you can actually see the picture pretty well, but then it depends on the level because some of them have like more brightness, more whites in them that make it a little hard to see things sometimes.
Yeah. So Salonis brings up a really cool point here. I like that the ship transforms as it levels up.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to mention that, which I think is a thing that maybe Cybarrier also does, but I'm not sure. Not too many games do that, I don't think, though.
Yeah, and it's a nice feature. By the way, guys, I apologize for the kind of error there where my Windows popped up on the screen. I prefer to keep that kind of stuff behind the scenes when I can. But there was, OBS being all buggy on me. So, anyway, I'm all set up. So, are you queued up with the video, Lord Hypnos?
Yep.
All right. Then let's start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click.
Alright, so I'm choosing the ship here. And now at the beginning here, I'm using the auto fire on the piercing cannon so that I can take out the enemies faster. It's not too hard to do it without auto fire or anything. It's a pretty easy part. There's the mosquito system that works there, the shield system. It's called the mosquito.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stopped using auto fire here deliberately because if you kill them too fast, it's hard to keep the chain going. Pretty common thing in chaining games. Use the auto fire there. Because because the game also has local rank, so if you kill enemies faster, sometimes new enemies will spawn that wouldn't spawn if you kill it slower, basically.
Okay. So I have a question watching this. It seems like you're getting right up on top of enemies. How does that work?
Oh,
Is there a collision?
That's another important point that I forgot to talk about. You can pass over enemies. None of the enemies will kill you on contact.
Right.
There's no enemy collision. I think usually ground-based enemies don't drop gold cubes. That's another thing, is that when the bullets that you reflect onto enemies or scenery turn into gold cubes.
Cool.
Another
I forgot about that.
Thing is that you can see in a couple of those places there were like white bullets flying past enemies, and that's something that you want to avoid, just because the more bullets hit the enemy, the more gold cubes you get. It can make a pretty big difference to how much experience you get. I'm killing the parts of this boss separately, even though I don't know if it actually does anything.
It's cool. Killing boss parts separately
cool.
is always cool. So
who cares if it does anything? I think that is a thing in Gigawing, though, so it probably gives you a little bit more points. And then also you can milk this boss, but I didn't back then. These days I usually milk that boss because it's a good way to get a little bit more experience, and I think usually level up to the next stage. So my video just ended.
I'm using the Daily Motion version. That's continuous. Sorry.
Well, do you want to would it be possible for you to? I can bring up the Daily Motion version. Would it be possible for you to bring it back to, like,
I can
the beginning
pause.
of the stage for me?
Yeah, I'll give you a timestamp.
Yeah, give me a timestamp. That makes the most sense. Ha.
Yeah. Let's see. Addressing chat.
Sorry, guys.
Jamers, I'd expected the ugliest shmup ever to be older than that. Well, Jamers. Yeah, I feel like I feel like Mars Matrix definitely has a specific aesthetic. Personally, I don't mind it so much, but then again, I also like the look of like DOJ and Saturn RSG. So, um, I think that there's a certain kind of like early 3D shooter aesthetic or pre-rendered shooter aesthetic that some of these games have that, like, it's not great. I don't think it's the most beautiful looking thing in the world, but I can deal with it. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of how the game looks, but it's, you get used to it. There are some parts that I like. I like the ship. The ship looks pretty cool.
mhm.
And like the fact that it transforms is pretty cool. Some of the boss designs are cool.
Yeah, I mean, I like the artwork, like the posters and stuff of the renders of the ships. I think look really neat,
Yeah.
but I don't like the
Oh
way it
man, I'm
looks
having
in
way more
game.
trouble finding this video for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, do you want
I
me
mean, I'll be able to find it. Like,
to?
I've found my Daily Motion account already, so it shouldn't be too hard.
Okay, then yeah, you got it. Um, yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that.
It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general I think the reason it works for Mars Matrix, maybe more so than for some other games, is that Mars Matrix, in kind of its UI design and its track mode loops and everything, it has kind of an aesthetic of like maximalism. Like there's so much there. There's all these lines. There's all this code during stage transitions, and there's like layers and layers and layers of pictures on top of each
Sure.
other. So I think it kind of works better with that sort of aesthetic, kind of in the same way that RSG worked well for that reason,
Sure.
than say DOJ, where I feel like things just look kind of washed out and muddied. But I do still, like I said, I do still appreciate this kind of look. So, have you found it yet?
Almost.
All right, sweet.
I actually just ended up going to the PM
Okay.
chat here, and apparently it's age restricted. That's weird.
Oh yeah, I noticed that too. There,
I don't know why that would have happened.
There's just some
Maybe I should
random
just
lewds
block
at the end. I mean, obviously, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You clear Mars Matrix for the first time. Whatever. So, Res. That's a topic for another day, especially given what we were just talking about. Yeah. Is there a vaporwave shooter?
What was that?
Oh man. 10 out of 10 chat today, guys. Keep it real. Filming gameplay with a potato can make any shmup look ugly. Yeah.
Well-
This is very true.
Can't really argue with that. Yeah.
So,
The worst thing is that you can't really hear the sound all that well, except for like the sound effects and like the controller clicking. Okay, I've got the video up. What's the timestamp?
alright, go to 2:22.
All right. Here we go.
Well, but Rayforce is actually all sprites. I don't think it's
Yeah,
pre-rendered.
Rayforce is beautiful.
Rayforce is just a fucking gorgeous game.
Yeah.
Love it. Alright.
Probably the best looking like game ever, actually, or one of them.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Actually, I'm at 224. I'm sorry.
Oh, 224. Oh,
Are you good?
it's not letting me get very precise with this.
Alright, hang on, then I'll just move back to 222. Alright.
Okay. I've got
Alright.
I've got 220. Do you think you could?
I
do
was just
220?
just play it for 2 seconds and then pause
Oh
it.
yeah, good thought. That's not hard. Okay, there we go. Now I'm at 222.
Alright, now let's start in 3, 2, 1, go. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
so with this one, I'm not really doing much for scoring. The whole stage can actually be chained, but it's the hardest one to chain of all of them. And this was pretty much like my first clear ever, so I didn't want to get too crazy with trying to be a perfectionist.
And we have a video we're going to show later that full chains the stage, correct?
Yes, yeah, we have Rob's probably one of the few video, or maybe even the only video out there that full chains stage 2. But yeah. So
Rob seems like he's really got this game down. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
I've looked at some of his scores and replays, and it's pretty intense.
It's definitely he's definitely the master. And it's good that he has a lot of his stuff recorded, just because it was very helpful when trying to learn this.
So Bananamatic does this counter stop. This version does not, but the arcade version does.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and so this part here, I am actually chaining, if I remember correctly, all the way to the end of the stage. The hardest part is right there, or maybe even right here, but just this whole section, because you've got to be really careful to actually get it to. You need to, like, you know, go exactly the right speed at killing things to get it to work. Like in many.
Bananamatic, I believe it counterstops at 999,999,999,990, but it might be only 999,999,990.
I think it's billions.
I think so too. Because Takumi.
Yeah, right.
Takumi scoring.
Yep. Yeah, and this isn't even as crazy as, like, Giggling 2 or Giggling Generations. That's probably the reason why they made it easier to, or made the enemies worth more in the Dreamcast version, is because they just wanted to beat Takumi and have crazy high scores.
Yeah. I do like some of the stuff they do here with, like, showing the boss at the beginning of the stage and showing the boss during the level transitions. I think that's a cool mechanic. So cool. It kind of reminds me of like the Raiden Fighters games where it's like, you know, oh, your target is here, or the Strikers games, oh, this, you know, attack this base or attack this thing.
Right. Here's where the chain starts here, by the way. I think you can actually chain from earlier, but, you know. And also a note about the third stage is that it's like, if you want to get the most points with the least amount of, or the most multiplier anyway, with the least amount of effort, the third stage is where you do it. But it's not like it's easy to chain. It's just that the chain gets really high. And also there's this part that's coming up, the gold cube waterfall, where you just get a shit ton of cubes all at once. And here it is. And that transition is really hard as well. Takes a lot of practice to get that down.
Ah, wow, that's cool. So it's just a bunch of little tanks moving back and forth, and then you just hose them for tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of gold?
Yeah, it's actually some turrets, I believe, or something like that, but they respawn after you kill them, and they drop a lot of gold. So, and then I died there. I've chained it to the end of the stage before, but awesome. Usually I die and then stop chaining. And then once you're done, once your chain breaks, you just kind of herd the bullets and tap shield through them. That's kind of a important technique, I would say, the tap shield.
Yeah, the shield is a really interesting mechanic. You know, I think it's really well implemented in this game because it doesn't at all trivialize the gameplay. It's still a very challenging game, at least for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does a really good job of that. Yeah. So the tap shielding is where you just shield for like a really short amount of time, so that it regenerates really fast. And you know, it's not like you can get a whole lot of gold cubes from it usually, but it's you know, a good way to avoid danger. And it's important when you're like doing bullet herding, basically, because you can get through the bullets that way. Mm-hmm. And then here's another technique there where you it's like the opposite of a tap shield, where you go to the very end of the shield gauge and release. And that's how you get the most gold, and that's how you should kill most of the bosses. Mm-hmm. And there's probably a few other places where you want to do that.
Yeah, that seems to be a common technique for killing the bosses that I'm noticing.
Yeah, exactly. I even call it the boss kill technique, but I just made that up. I don't think there's an official name for it. But this stage is really a big wall for a lot of people. The enemies that you see there in the air shoot kind of difficult. They're not actually that difficult of patterns, but they're really hard to read. So until you get used to them, it's pretty difficult to dodge. And
then kind of like really fast lines.
What was that?
The kind of really fast lines that accelerate as they come down.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know exactly what it is, but you kind of get a feel for it. And then this boss you can actually chain through, although the way that I do the part right before the boss makes it so that I can't really do that. It's just something that I would need to relearn, basically.
That's cool.
And then this is the safe way of getting through this part, which is also a big wall for a lot of people. You basically just tap very slightly at a time and use the shield occasionally.
I'm reminded a lot of DOJ Stage 3. Big battleships followed by mid-boss with a very difficult chaining segment, followed by a lot of Zako with a kind of safe spot cheesing strategy.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's a good description of this. Yeah, and you can actually chain through that big dangerous area too, but it's high risk. High risk, high reward.
So here you're kind of hugging the top of the screen because you're able to continue damaging stuff as it kind of enters the screen, right?
Yeah, basically. And this is a piercing cannon milking section.
Mm-hmm. So is this the boss?
Kind of, yeah. But not really. It's like right before the boss, basically.
Oh, okay.
Oh, another thing here is that the enemy the turret that's on the far right side, right top side there, I leave it alive so that I can kill it later. And actually, this part is another important scoring thing, because if you do it right, which I don't in this video, you get a big fountain of gold cubes. And basically what you want to do is keep on hitting it here, which I don't do because I screwed up. And then you do that thing again. And then normally that will kill it if you kept on hitting it that whole time. Mm-hmm. But because I didn't, it really screwed up this section. And I got probably like 300 less to the chain than I would have gotten.
Interesting. I noticed this in the replay earlier and I was curious about that.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that there's that fountain there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow, like that's really big.
It's like a nice, little treat, little reward for like how difficult this stage is. But then this boss is also really hard. The best I could tell you is just like you can do exactly what I'm doing here. Also, it kind of looks like the wings of that boss are like red staplers.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, that's
I'm
the
thinking
whiplash.
of Office Space. So, thanks for that. Oh. Swiss Army knife incoming.
What was that?
Kempop from chat says Swiss Army knife incoming.
Yeah.
Apparently a lot of people have different reactions to this boss. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really tough. Like, that's the other big wall in Stage 4, I would say, is that boss. You just kind of have to memorize it really well.
The patterns look pretty brutal. They're really fast and there's not very much room to maneuver.
Yeah, it's very like Psycho.
Yeah, definitely.
I think. So this stage almost feels like a bonus stage because, as you'll see soon, there's these bullet canceling enemies that will cancel all of the bullets into gold cubes.
So I imagine that sort of similar to the stuff you'd see in like Futari, you're trying to cancel at just the right moment when there's tons and tons of bullets on the screen, right?
Yeah, you can definitely use that to get more gold than you would otherwise do. I don't know that I'm doing a really good job of that in this replay, but like you can see in higher level videos of this stage, There's like 2 spots, one of them we already passed, that are kind of hard to continue the chain with, but otherwise the chain is like almost free as long as you can stay alive. But there are a lot of bullets.
That's pretty cool. And yeah, I'm seeing it is getting up pretty high pretty fast here. Wow.
Yeah, right. What am I at now? I'm at like 800 something already.
Yeah, almost 900. Yeah, there you go. 930. That's cool.
Yeah, in my replay, and in for most people who aren't like going to the extremes of like learning how to chain stage 4 and 2 and stuff, the majority of your score is going to come from 5 and 3. And then I did that deliberately where I kind of like threw the bullets into an area where I knew I could go and collect them while staying safe.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense. That's like probably one of the best things actually about the shield, is that you can choose where the bullets go and place them in ways that help you chain better or whatever.
It's definitely not intuitive, though. I think that's one of the things that I really struggle with,
Yeah,
is kind of getting used to the shield and getting used to how to throw the bullets with any kind of control.
It's pretty technical, the shield.
But it does give you a lot of flexibility.
That first train car is not too difficult. This one, you just make sure that you leave enough meter at the end of the last one so that you don't have to dodge too much before doing the like boss kill technique basically again. And then that part right there is really hard because there's very little space.
Mm-hmm.
I almost always died it.
I love that it's a train, though. I just love train bosses.
Yeah, very cool. And then the bullets are aimed around you, so it's super easy.
Oh man, gotta love safe spots like that.
Yeah. And
Nice.
then this guy, I think there's a lot of RNG in this boss fight, and it's so fast that it feels kind of like unfair. So I almost always die there too.
That's pretty brutal.
I mean,
awesome.
I've survived it before, and I've seen people survive it, but man, is it hard. That's the hardest part in the whole game, I think. And it's because, as far as I know, it's not deterministic. It's somewhat random. So those 3 things shoot bullets, so I kill them right as they get on screen. This is the final stage.
Mm-hmm.
Most of this stage is just about kind of bullet hurting and using the tap shield. Although there are a couple of very large enemies that you pretty much need to kill with their own bullets, and so you kind of have to learn a route that allows you to kill them before they get too dangerous. Basically, this is like the bullet hell stage. There's a ton of bullets.
Yeah,
Looks very nice.
It's really
the
cool.
music is not that you can hear it very well in this replay, but in the Moreno one, it should be pretty audible.
In general, I think this game has pretty interesting music, but it's so low compared to the sound effects, it's hard to hear it at all.
Yeah, it's like very like techno,
Mm-hmm.
and it really, I think it fits the atmosphere so well.
Yeah, I think it fits pretty well. Definitely.
And then, yeah, I guess I didn't need to do it, but normally I kill that guy with his own bullets. And then this, kind of slowly go up the screen, and then do that again on that guy. It's very important.
So just a lot of kind of back and forth, and then cutting through with the shield here, I'm noticing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty interesting. It reminds me a lot of the kind of stuff you see in, cave games. You have a lot of the later stages is a lot of sort of back and forth hurting and cutbacks. But here, everything's super, super dense, so you can't really, and it's kind of messy, so you can't really cut through it without the aid of the shield, which is pretty interesting.
Right, exactly. And that's very much what it's designed for. And the enemies in the 6th stage also are worth a lot, so you really, if you don't get to the 6th stage, even though you can't get very much multiplier from it, that's like the majority of your score, basically. And then this boss looks hard at first, it's totally static, so you can kind of figure out how to do it pretty easily. Like, I think in this, except for one stupid mistake in this video, like, I don't die at all on this boss, but at first it seems impossible.
Is that slowing down there, or?
Yeah, there was a little slowdown there. Slightly more in the arcade version. But there isn't much slowdown in this game in general.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
It's not really deliberate slowdown, it's just that there's a lot of gold. It's usually when there's a lot of gold cubes. So like in the gold cube waterfall in the third stage as well.
Oh hey, it's like a giant flower.
Oh yeah, this part very difficult. Like, even though it's static, like, you know, it's hard.
It's because it has the little drones aiming at you.
Yeah,
that always makes things
it's the overlap of the drones with like fairly difficult. It's also kind of Psycho-y, I think. And then this part of the boss is actually really easy, but I died there because I was stupid. And there it is.
Alright. Awesome. So this isn't really a like super high scoring round, this is more just kind of like an average survival clear, would you say? Or are you trying to do a lot of higher level scoring tricks in here as well?
I would say it's kind of more or less in between. Like I got 2 million, I think I got 2.5 million experience about, which, you know, you could clear it with much less than that, and I have seen clears with much less than that, and then the final score is over 1 trillion. And that's basically what I was aiming for with it, was getting over 1 trillion. And then at one point, you know, half a year or so after this, I managed to get up to 3 million experience, which was another one of my goals. But in this one, it's just 2.5. But it's still over 1 trillion.
Awesome. So let's move on to the other run, and let me get that set up really quickly because it is just not quite ready yet. So you can go ahead and cue that up. That'd be great.
Yes.
What are you doing, OBS? Apologies, guys. It's really behaving very oddly today. I need to investigate this further.
Just for like a introduction of this run, it's by a player called Moreno, who I don't know what else he's done. He's from Brazil, I think, though, and this was, I believe, the first Western counterstop of the game, and it's actually with the red ship, and it's the arcade version. So it's kind of like the opposite of my clear video. Also, it's the other way that it's the opposite is because it's a pretty high quality video.
Let's see. Looking at chat, Enigma Chaos scoring replay isn't a counterstop. Well, he was playing in the Dreamcast version. I think he scored higher than the counterstop limit.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I think you would need to get at least a good amount over 3 million to get the counterstop. Because the thing is, the actual score that I got was over 1 trillion, but of course the enemies are worth more in the Dreamcast version.
Oh, so, right. Yeah, my bad. Okay.
So that's the difference there. I mean, that video was kind of similar to, like, I saw a video on YouTube by SF Koa that was of the arcade version that got a similar amount of experience. Actually, I think it was a little bit more, but it was not a counterstop.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't remember how much it was.
But this one is asking about the Dreamcast shop and arrange mode. We should talk about those later.
Yeah, I can talk about them later.
But let's get into this for now.
Alright.
If that is cool. Are you queued up?
Yep.
Alright, then let's start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click.
Alright, so here it is. Red ship. Slower, less powerful, wider spread. No auto fire because it's the arcade version.
Yeah, Bananamatic asking how dead was the game in arcades with the counterstop that low. Yeah,
Very dead?
I imagine quite dead. I don't know for sure, but this is a game that's never really been super popular in arcades, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly.
And I definitely don't think that helped.
Yeah, I feel like that was probably a big part of it. Although, part of it's also just like how difficult to get the hang of the shield is, of course.
Also, I'm a big fan of that opening screen transition in stage 1 with the background there, where it's like scrolling over the cities and industrial stuff. The rest of the stage, I think, is kind of not that great looking, but that first background is really pretty impressive.
Yeah, I like that. I like that as well. I would agree with that. I think. Oh yeah, so there was one thing that I wanted to point out in this, which I guess we probably already passed, but basically, like, he was kind of waiting to kill those big enemies a little bit so that he could use their bullets to get a few more gold cubes, basically.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow, already at 900.
It's a lot there. Sometimes I've gotten that much, but not usually. It was like 200.
Cool. Saloon is, at
Probably
least
all
the
of
counter
them.
stuff seems higher than bot raids. Yeah, that doesn't take too much, I don't think. So what's he doing
He's
here?
got some kind of a safe spot there. There's another safe spot later on in this boss fight that's above the boss, but I don't think he uses it. He's also milking the boss here, so you see he's waiting to kill it a little bit, and he's milking these like purple bubbles. And now he's going to do this thing. And then he's got one more pattern that he can get a good, nice experience with. And I usually do this boss this way these days, but in my video I did not.
So, was that just for the milking that he was waiting there? Is there a time bonus? How does that work?
Yeah, there is a time bonus actually, and especially in the later bosses, you really should just be going for the time bonus, because I don't think that it's milking for experience, but once your experience is high enough, because it's time multiplied by experience, I'm pretty sure, so
Interesting, okay.
so you can get way higher. Like, I think I remember reading a comment in the scoring thread from somebody that was about how they were trying to milk the third boss, but then they realized that just speed killing it was worth a lot more. So I've got the stage 2 video up now.
Alright, same here. So 3, 2, 1, click.
Alright, I also like this background a lot with the clouds.
Yeah, and the battleships moving around, that's cool.
Yeah. And so he's also chaining the first part of this stage, which, like, after I was rewatching these videos a little bit before doing commentary on them, and I feel like if I were to try and learn another thing to chain, this might be the next one that I go for, because it doesn't seem like it would be too ridiculous.
What, the stage 2 chain, or just this first part?
Just the first part of it. The stage, chaining the whole stage is really difficult, and Moreno definitely does not succeed at it. But he's still chaining here, and the chain break doesn't come until pretty late, so he gets a nice, good chunk of experience before the break.
It's interesting to see how many uses the shield has. I mean, you can use it very defensively, or you can use it very kind of like tactically by throwing bullets at certain things, like throwing
Yeah,
at the scenery
so
or
true.
at enemies, or you can use it super offensively by grabbing bullets and then camping on top of an enemy.
Right, exactly. It's so versatile, and that's kind of the trade-off that you get for how difficult it is to learn, basically. Okay, so here's the part where I started chaining, and I think he might actually break this chain as well, but we'll see. But it doesn't matter, because he chains other parts that I didn't get.
Mm-hmm.
And he's already level 6 here.
Chempop, what does that mean? What? I'm confused.
Which?
He wrote freedom soft drink, which I don't understand.
Huh. Oh yeah, it's probably a reference to the Zokzak reviews.
I don't even know.
Because that's one of the things that Rob said in those reviews, was about how Mars Matrix gives you freedom, and that's why it's so great.
Ah, okay.
I think he also milks this boss, by the way, which I've never done. This boss is actually really hard if you don't know how to speed kill it. I forgot to mention that earlier, but that's something that that a lot of times will also stop people from keeping on going with it. I'm not exactly sure how milking this works, but you see how he has to dodge this pattern, and he's going to, once his shield recharges, do another instant backlash, and get a bunch of experience. Okay.
Alright, I'm queued up.
Alright. Me too.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, click. And no, Kimpop, I have not seen the Zoxak review. I've heard of it. I've heard stories, legends, but I have
they're
not
still on
seen
YouTube if you ever wanna look them up.
Yeah, I probably should.
Although the original Mars Matrix review is gone, but he had a second review as well. So, those pots that appear, there's a couple of places in the game where if you kill the enemies fast enough, they'll turn into like little tea kettles or something. You can basically reflect bullets off of them, I think is all that they do. I don't really use that because, that was like the original way that people figured out how to chain the third stage, but like with Rob's third stage route, that's not actually something that he does, and he gets a lot more experience, so there is a better way of doing it. Let's see. Okay, so here's the gold cube waterfall again.
Mm-hmm. SM Radis in chat is saying that yeah, players in Japan drop the game very quickly because of the counter stop. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all by that.
Yeah, it was never very, or well, it maybe like right when it first came out or something, but there's really not a whole lot of Japanese videos of this out there.
There's not a whole lot of the videos of this out there in general.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's one of the reasons we kind of struggled finding, high quality footage for this, is there's not a ton of it.
So. Yeah, well, and especially the Dreamcast version, like pretty much all of the footage is really low quality. Even the captured footage.
So Lewis is asking if Takumi is still around nowadays. I don't know.
I don't think that there's... I mean, their last game was Giggling Generations, as far as I know, or their last shooting game.
It's interesting. I'm always curious about what happens to those companies. Like, they just sort of disappear.
Me too. So, what he did there, he killed one of those pods, and that's because they both fire purple bubbles at you. I actually do that too, but I forgot to mention that when I was doing the other video. And it's just much easier to dodge the purple bubbles only coming from one side.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. This boss kind of reminds me of a Tachikoma from Ghost in the Shell, but red.
Oh, interesting. I really like that boss design, Crab, and that death animation is awesome. Look at that. He turns red and moves around a little bit.
Starts like flailing around, like, no, you killed me, no!
Occasionally there will be like a few bullets left over after you kill him, and that can be kind of treacherous. So you gotta like keep on guard even after you kill him a little bit.
Oh, I love that. Like in Rising games where you kill the last boss, but all the bullets stay on the screen so you can game over at the end. I've done that. It's terrible.
What causes it, but sometimes that happens with that boss.
Alright.
Okay. I've got 4 queued up here.
Same. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So another thing to note about the red ship is that the red ship is slower, as I mentioned before. So you might notice that some of the movements are more conservative than you would have with the blue ship. And also because it has such a wide shot, like look at how much range that shot has. Like you don't need to move as much to kill enemies.
That's pretty cool.
And so I think actually just from like an enemy killing perspective, you get a bit of an advantage once you have a very powered up red ship compared to the blue ship. But for getting experience, the blue ship has an advantage. And the experience is the multiplier, and then the points come from the enemies. Okay, so here's a cool technique that's coming up. So he's keeping this chain going, And now he's
Oh,
boss. And now he does that and moves to the other side. So
that's
that he's
super
the chain
cool.
going. Because like little cubes come out of the side of the boss as you pierce him. And then he's
Yeah,
doing that thing with this part.
that's super cool.
Yeah. A lot more dodging this way.
Oh, but then he dropped it there.
Yeah, he dropped it there. Sometimes you just can't keep on chaining because you're going to die. And you
Yeah.
only have 5 lives total after both extends.
Yeah, exactly.
So everybody uses the gravity hole bomb there for whatever reason. It's just a lot easier that way. And you can't really continue the chain much once you get to that point anyway.
Mhm.
And you can't really chain through this part. Although again, there's the gold cube fountains at the end of it, which is worth a good amount. So this is basically as much as you can chain the 4th stage. At least if he got the gold cube fountain, but I think he did.
It's pretty, it's interesting seeing some of these patterns because it seems like a lot of the bosses basically you quick kill because their patterns are pretty nasty.
Yeah, right, it's very true.
But they seem like they'd be pretty interesting to see just dodged legitimately as well.
Well, yeah, definitely. And that's one thing with the, there's, on replay burners, there's a video that's a low scoring video, and so he's not using the shield very much when doing it, and he has to dodge some of those super intense patterns.
Is that the one that we're going to be showing, or is that a different low scoring?
Yeah, that's the one if we get time that we will show.
Okay, cool.
It's a very cool video.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm excited to see that.
There's the turrets that he's killing so that he can get a longer chain over here that he waited to kill.
Nice. And then just sit inside that fountain forever and
That's right.
get points.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So coming up the 4th stage boss is actually quite a bit easier with the red ship because of its range. Because you can kind of stay much more to the side of most of its patterns that way and still hit it. So you'll see that soon.
Yeah, now I just can't unsee the stapler thing.
Yeah, I know, me neither. I think I heard that the first time in like a classic game room review.
Classic game room, yes. that's exactly something Mark would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so perfect.
And then he made a reference to Office Space too.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because the guy who had the red stapler thing.
Yep. Yeah. I mentioned on Twitter that someone showed his Gamecom review in one of my classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was only for a minute or two, and he's like, "What? My Gamecom review was shown in a college? I must know more."
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. So, all
Alright, so I've
Stage
got stage
5?
5 queued up here.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright. Here are these sphere enemies. So here he's not killing those tanks that are shooting bullets from the side, I think so that he can get more bullets with that shield that he just did there. So there are ways to optimize the 5th stage quite a bit, even though it's relatively easy just to get the full chain, which is all that I did.
Oh, he dropped.
Oh, okay, well, I guess he didn't succeed at that part.
Interesting.
I sometimes drop it too there. That's one of the hard parts. There's basically 2 hard parts where it's hard to continue the chain in this stage, and that was one of them, and then the other one, I think I pointed it out in my video, but I will try and point it out again.
Jamers, this stage is silly.
I mean, it's basically like a bonus stage.
Yeah. It's cool, though.
Yeah. So here's the other part where it's kind of hard to keep the chain going. And it looks like he succeeded at it, so that's good. This is one where I don't have as much of a fixed route as in a lot of the stages. Although it used to actually be still really hard for me just because it's a lot tighter with bullets than in most of the stages in this game. And that's something that I'm not very good at.
Oh, that's keeping the chain up right there. He was like so close a few times. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. This last part of the stage actually can be kind of difficult to keep the chain going, and it's so much more dangerous to try and keep this chain going in this part of the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a good risk reward in this case.
Yeah, nice.
And then he's just using a GHP there because why not? It'll recharge before the boss anyway.
Just like, why not? I don't care.
I mean,
Screw you guys. I'm out of here.
That's my interpretation. Then here's this thing again. You can destroy those rockets, but I don't know, sometimes you can't, so you really have to be careful with the last couple of rockets that get shot, like after you kill it. That's gotten me once or twice. And there's that part. Here's the first really hard part of this boss. Such tight space.
You just quick kills it though. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he managed to kill it before it was too big of a deal.
I love the way that transforms. Like, it opens, and then it flips around, and then it, like, splits in half and reconnects to itself.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, that's another thing that's pretty good, like, graphically, is a lot of the... There's some good animations in this.
Yeah.
And I think he actually gets through this without a scratch somehow. It's probably a little easier with the red ship, but even so, that part is just so difficult.
I gotta say, I think this is the kind of game that would be really cool to see, like, a modern, like, HD port of, because...
Oh yeah, no kidding.
I think the assets look really good, like, the animations and stuff look pretty great, but it's just not, like, rendered at, where it could be.
Right, exactly.
I'm curious to see what that would be like.
Yeah, I'm sure that Capcom owns the rights. I wish that they were interested in re-releasing their shooters, but
nope.
they don't.
No Pro Gear port ever. No.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Pro Gear.
So.
Alright, I've got stage 6 ready here.
Same. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so... taking out those first couple things, whatever they are. I don't know what they're supposed to be.
Oh, yeah, people ask me in chat, what other games integrate the dodging and collecting so with the same kind of balance? And Dangun, definitely, yeah. That's a good...
Yeah, probably.
Good point.
I tend to feel like just playing it, this game feels a bit like Dangun, just because, like, there's a lot of just, like, moving across of the screen and collecting stuff. Moving all over the screen and collecting stuff. And then it's less of a part of scoring, but they both do have the local rank. That's a lot more important in Dangun.
So, remind me what you mean when you say local rank.
Oh yeah, so that means that, like, sometimes if you kill enemies fast, more enemies will spawn.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And so there are a couple of sections where you can get a lot more points that way, but then again, there are a couple of sections where you want to kill them slower so that you can continue your chain.
That's just kind of a bonus
also, I
enemy
think
thing,
this
right?
stage specifically, where some enemies won't spawn if your ship is placed over where they would spawn at. I haven't tested that or anything, but I think I read that in Randorama's strategy guide.
That would be nice, because it looks like things just sort of teleport in, and if that were to happen when your ship was there, that would just be really not fair.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's the case, because there's never been a situation in this stage where I've felt like, oh man, how cheap, that enemy just, like, spawned and point blanked me. Alright, and now time for the final boss again.
You died a few times there, and didn't chain all that well either. That stage must be pretty tough. I mean, this whole game is pretty tough, but that in particular must be, like, a tricky section.
I will say that a lot of times, like, I probably die more often in the 5th stage than in the 6th stage, but definitely a lot of times, especially if I haven't, like, practiced it recently, like, the 6th stage will really get me. I'm not really sure why that is, as such. It doesn't seem like it should be that hard. But then, of course, this boss is hard, but like I said again earlier, it's very static.
I love the like pulsing cables that connect it to the walls.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's cool.
That's another really nice animation, and he's doing this slightly different than me because he's got a slower ship, but it's basically the same strategy. Just like you direct the bullets, kind of, and then do the shield at the end, but only enough so that you can still recharge it in time. Although the way that I have to do it, I have to go between some of those small, or those pink bullets that are like in the middle.
Yep. So it looks like this doesn't counter stop by that much, because he's just going to get it here from the end bonuses, it looks like.
Yeah, it's true. He doesn't get it until the end bonus. I mean, it's a pretty substantial end bonus just because it's multiplied by the multiplier, but it is, it's true.
Was that boss
And I mean, his experience
destructible?
level was
No,
only
right.
like 3.5 million, which some of the blue ship super plays out there are more like 4 million
Okay.
or 5 million, some in the case of Rob's
Wow.
video.
Wow, that's awesome. Alright, so then you wanted to show the stage 2 full chain, correct?
Yes!
Alright, let me...
Yeah, and the reason why I want to show this is just because, like, stage 2, hardest stage to chain all the way through, and it's just a work of art, you know, the chain that is in that one, and that's Rob playing, and the one that we're going to watch. Unfortunately, it's probably slightly worse quality than my video, even.
Oh my god, OBS, what are you
But you can
doing?
still tell what's going on. I'm ready whenever you are.
I'm sorry, it's just not, it's not being happy.
Oh, okay.
It keeps, like,
What?
not recognizing the window. That's weird. I guess whenever the resolution changes, it, like, freaks out.
Sure,
So-
yeah. Yeah, this one's 720p. Whereas I think probably the rest of those were all 480.
Also, this video quality, though.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. But you can still tell what's going on, I promise.
Oh, yeah, people are asking about my drive names. I name my computers after the Magi computers from Evangelion, because I'm a super nerd. So, so this computer is, a CO1 Melchior, then Balthazar is my external storage NAS, and, Caspar is my laptop right now. So, anyway, alright, you're all queued up?
Yep.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
So this starts out pretty similarly to what Moreno's doing in this part. Moreno's video is kind of interesting just in that, like, he does really well on the 2nd and the 4th stages, and like the 3rd stage where most people are getting most of their scores, he's not doing bad by any means, but like, it's, you know, it's less than I did, I think, on the 3rd stage. I don't know, just kind of interesting.
Oh, so I'm not the only one who names drives after shit. Okay, cool. Thank you, jammers. I feel so vindicated now.
So here he goes, the chain is still going on. But Moreno also made it this far, at least. But look at how much he has to, like, weave through the, like, bullet hell to get this to work.
Yeah, wow.
And then for this part, this is the hard part, he's gotta, like, do these little tap shields where he spreads them around and, like, he's gotta, like, collect them and make sure that there's still enough there, and I don't know, it's just really amazing. And then he used that scenery there to get a couple different shields off of. And then we're almost to the easy part. Well, kind of easy part to chain. Alright. But see, it gets better still. There's a surprise at the end. So here he goes, you know, pretty basic stage 2 stuff here.
Why did you do that? Wow, that's so close. What the hell?
Yeah, I know, it's such a close call.
That's awesome.
And we're almost to the other easy part. And he's using a nice big shield there because you can get more experience that way. And it's probably actually a good... I usually just use the normal shot for this part, but I think it probably works better to use the piercing cannon. And then watch this. Okay, this is the cool part.
Did he chain into the boss?
Select. Yup. Oh my god. Look at that.
That's awesome.
And he chains pretty much the whole boss through. And I love the way that he's doing it too, because he's just like kind of doing the tap shields on every little like attack that it sends, and then dodging stuff, collecting, and now he's gonna just kill it. Or no, he isn't even gonna kill it. Okay, but I think the chain breaks there.
Yeah, it does. But that's crazy.
Yeah, it's so impressive. That is the Call of Mars Matrix achievement right there.
Yeah, no.
And also, I think that the end chain for that was like 2,000 some. So I think he probably actually got to level 8 all in one stage. Because with the Dreamcast score attack, you're just playing each stage with a separate score and experience and stuff. So you start with 0 always.
Hey, did it? Sweet! It didn't freak out this time. All right,
Nice.
I'm setting up the next replay.
Okay, and this will be the low score one.
Yeah, let me just
This is
get
cool.
it to crop correctly. Yeah, I just really want to see this after seeing the game kind of played more conventionally. I'm really curious what this ends up looking like.
This will be very different. I will say that the first stage, or maybe first 2 stages, are not super exciting in this version, but it gets really exciting in like the 4th stage, because like the 4th stage is full of those like Psycho patterns.
Alright, I'm at 054.
Okay.
And yeah, Icarus, we're all a bunch of nerds. Now, how many levels do you have with all of your ships in Contact Collection, and how many full combos do you have in that Idolmaster game? I'm just asking, you know. Not pointing fingers, I'm just asking. So 054, just let me know when you're ready.
Almost ready. There we go. I'm ready.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, blue ship again this time. I wonder if this wouldn't be easier with the red ship. Okay, so for the first part, he's just not even shooting at all and just like passing through enemies because he can do that.
Yeah, the lack of collision.
Here he's dodging some bullets. And the reason why is because the enemies all drop gold cubes, and he's trying to keep his experience at 0 for as long as possible to keep his score low.
Yeah.
And also, those enemies that he just was right up next to, you can seal the bullets if you're close to them. So that's what he was doing there. It's actually pretty annoying if you're trying to chain that part, because if you get too close, you'll seal the bullets and you can't complete that part of the chain. It looks like he might have been sealing the bullets on that tank as well, and maybe also this one.
That's interesting. So you can actually destroy things without getting points.
Yeah, because everything's multiplied by the
experience
counter.
Yeah.
If your experience is 0, it's multiplied by 0.
That's
It's the same
great.
principle as with. So here he has to start actually dodging some cubes, or at least that one big one there, to prevent himself from getting any multiplier.
Jamers. Oh, hey, this game has music. Yeah, you can't really tell.
Yeah, this is probably actually the highest quality video of these.
It is.
And also,
actually,
yeah, you could hear the music better because it's not just sound effects.
Yeah, the sound effects are pretty brutally loud.
It's true. I like the sound effects a lot.
But yeah, I'm pretty impressed that the multiplier actually starts at 0. Like, that is not what I would have expected at all. Or even if it does start at 0, they would usually like add a provision like if it's 0, just treat it as if it's 1. but that's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same way in Giggling, I think. So I think you can probably actually play the whole game of Giggling without getting any points. Just because it's a little bit easier of a game. Oh, there's an insta-death laser.
Oh, beautiful.
One of the patterns on that boss is, and it has an insta-death laser. But
Icarus,
it's pretty easy.
You have 50 figures, Icarus? Damn. Teach me how to enjoy figures later. I just don't understand the appeal. Model kits I love, but figures I don't really get it that much. Anyway, let's watch this amazing replay.
So he's gotta dodge these cubes again here. If you're playing the game this way, you have to dodge bullets and cubes, but not enemies at least. There's some of those tea kettles that you get from killing certain enemies. I don't know why they're tea kettles. It's weird.
So there he's killing popcorn before it comes on the screen? Is that the idea?
Yeah, basically. I assume it's just because then the gold is going to all fall in a line, basically, and it'll be near the edge of the screen, so you can still dodge the bullets pretty effectively.
Yeah. It is pretty interesting how much more dodging you need to do, though.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that'll become a big deal soon. Wait, do those bullets collide with that object?
It's on top of absorbs bullets.
What the fuck? Why?
I don't know. It's kind of cool though. It makes it a little bit more interactive, even though like nothing happens when you touch it.
That's so weird. So you can't collide with it, but so it's not an obstacle, but it just blocks bullets. That's interesting.
It's an obstacle for bullets only.
That's really interesting.
Not much to say for most of this stuff.
Oh, that's interesting. They have kind of angle snapping, so they only shoot directly sideways.
It's kind of neat.
So I guess I never realized how short this game is, but like all these replays have only been, barely over 20 minutes.
Yeah, right, exactly. I think it's about 18 minutes long total.
It's surprising. It's pretty intense, though. It feels longer. It's cool.
Yeah, right, exactly. And he's using the GHD because you can get away with that when you're not trying to get any gold.
That's so cool. No score.
Stage 3.
I imagine this is where it's going to start getting more interesting to watch.
Yeah, it gets a little bit more interesting, at least here. There's those tea kettles again.
That's such a weird thing.
Yeah, I have no idea what's up with the tea kettles.
It's awesome.
Seems like a odd choice.
I love that they do it, but it's so weird.
Yeah. He's probably trying to just very minimally kill enemies here because almost all of them drop gold.
Whoa!
It's like a maze. This is very much a bullet maze, this stage.
That's awesome.
He's avoiding the waterfall, of course.
Javers says,
that's what they look like when you don't kill them.
I guess this game has been counterstopped in both ways.
Yes, exactly. Well, almost. It's not quite 0 at the end, but it's very low.
Super cool.
You'd probably need a task to actually get 0.
So was it only airborne enemies that drop cubes?
Yeah, I think that's the pattern here, actually.
Because it seems
I never really thought about it in the past.
Yeah, I never really
but
thought
I was
about it
noticing
either.
that today.
It seems like he can, destroy all the tanks he wants, but anything in the air.
Yeah, right.
And then
exactly.
you can make scenery drop cubes by throwing bullets at it sometimes, right?
Yeah, and sometimes the scenery will actually have cubes in it.
Okay. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, you can't collide with those?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no collisions.
But they look like bullets, or... the boss
Yeah.
shoots them at you. So
Yeah,
why...
actually, the like weird ring bullets in the final boss, I think, are actually not something that you can collide with, even though they look like bullets, but they're destructible. But then some of the bubbles will actually hurt you if you collide with them, I think.
It's
The
weird.
ones that are destructible.
So weird.
Yeah, because this is scenery and it's dropping cubes.
Yeah, I can see that. And he's sealing that
When
guy.
I like was stealing the bullets on that one guy. Cool.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking. Like, why are they there if they don't do anything? They give you gold, they look intimidating. That
Right,
actually
exactly.
could be enough.
Yeah, to me this stage without using when you're trying not to collect any cubes is so hard looking. And he times out this mid boss too, I think.
It's like a broken, domed colony down there, looks like.
Look at that pattern, oh my god.
But yeah, this is brutal. This is
And he's gonna
starting to
scream.
get really awesome to watch. I'm
Yes.
pretty excited.
So you can actually dodge most of these patterns.
Clouding music, the Phantom Castle lasers, DVAC don't even give you gold. That's true. They just are angry flashlights. They don't do anything. Turn up the music. Yeah, okay, I can do that.
And of course he's getting no points for piercing cannon milking these things because his multiplier is still 0.
I didn't realize that literally everything was multiplied by the experience. That
Pretty much.
explains so much about why this game's scoring is so crazy.
Yeah, oh my god, look at that pattern. It's like a psycho pattern.
This is... Yeah, this is getting pretty nuts.
Holy crap.
And I'm guessing he's going to try to avoid the fountain completely.
Yeah, he's probably going to wait a really long time to destroy that. I think that's what he does anyway, to destroy this guy. This pattern is slightly different between the Dreamcast version and the arcade version, by the way. I'm not sure which one is more difficult. Probably the arcade one.
It doesn't actually look all that bad, but it does fill up a lot of the screen, and it's
Yeah.
pretty fast.
Yeah, and that pattern is actually quite a bit easier to dodge if you're not trying to kill the turret. Because you just get a lot more space further away from it. Like, normally you want to train your fire on him all the time. Oh yeah, he basically timed it out.
Cool.
Alright, here's Red Stapler guy again. Whiplash attack.
So Lucas, how to Takumi your scoring system. 1. Create scoring system. 2. make it a multiplier for your actual score.
Yeah, basically. That's a pretty good.
That's awesome.
That's actually pretty much what it is. Okay, this stage is really intense if you're not trying to kill the bullet canceling enemies.
Yeah, I'd imagine because they just fill up the screen with gold.
Pretty much.
You can't pick up. Oh man. They look so spastic, just like wiggling back and forth. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, and there's his first experience that he collected.
Oh no!
But he still does pretty good on the 5th stage, but once he gets to the 6th stage, all bets are off. We shall soon see.
He's like, shoot, now I can't attack anything.
Pretty much. Because it will be multiplied by 6. And then there's the first death. Also, he didn't get any extends, it's worth mentioning.
Yeah, because he has no experience.
Yep, and he timed out the mid-boss before.
Oh god.
That looks intense. There's a lot of spheres in this stage. Most of the enemies seem like kind of wiggly spheres.
This dodging is nuts.
Yeah, that's another thing about this game is that some of the patterns are like really difficult to read. They just look like bullets moving around randomly until you like kind of get to know them a lot. That's like what the really hard part of the 4th stage right after the mid boss is like. It's just you can't really tell what's going on. Like the only way that I got past it was by basically just tapping every, at intervals and like praying at first.
Chat is being
Sorry.
10 out of 10 right now. This is great. Also, speaking of Jigglypuff, I never realized that name is just super literal. It's like a fluffy ball and it jiggles. So it's called Jigglypuff.
Yeah, some of the enemies are taking in this stage are taking design cues from Jigglypuff, I think.
Oh god.
That's pretty intense too.
Anyway, yeah, that joke won't make any sense if you're not reading the chat, but there's some interesting stuff happening over there. What the hell is this dodge? What? Is that all aimed directly at you? Is that why that works?
Which one?
The one that he just
The
did?
last pattern?
Yeah.
The last pattern is aimed around you.
Okay, yeah.
This pattern is just really hard. I don't know how he's doing it. And he's gonna time this out too, which is really intense. I'm not sure if those ones are destructible or not. A lot of the larger ones are. These ones are.
Pretty cool.
$10,220 points total after that stage.
Must be like, I'm a failure.
Pretty much. But like in this stage, all bets are off with that. He's just killing stuff.
Yeah. But then I would find it really hard to imagine doing this stage completely pacifist.
I don't think you could. Well, you probably could, but it would be.
He got more
like
gold!
Oh my god, those enemies, and not killing them. That's insane.
This is crazy.
Love this music. I sometimes just listen to this music on its own.
Unfortunately, we can't hear it very well anymore because the sound effects
Yeah,
are
I guess
happening again.
I usually stop firing for parts of the bosses so that I can hear it better. Because there are parts that you don't really need to be firing during. I'm not sure if this guy does that. It's like just, it conveys a sense of like foreboding, I feel like.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool piece. It definitely communicates that kind of oh shit.
Yeah,
feeling.
exactly. Yeah, like with my route, there are parts of this form that I don't fire during, because I'm just dodging bullets from the diagonal. God, he's waiting so long to actually kill this guy.
He's also
Maybe
at like
off.
0 weapon power though, right?
That's true, that makes a difference. That just looks impossible.
Yeah, this is super intense.
That's also like a psycho pattern. Oh, see, look, he's
Oh
overlapping
yeah,
with
the
bullets.
donut.
I always just assumed they would kill me.
Yeah, it looks like they would kill you because they look
Yeah.
blue pink, like all bullets in this game do.
Yeah. Total experience of 343 right now.
Whoa, it went way up there.
For this boss, I don't... I think it has the same duration regardless of how much you attack it, but you do get more points for attacking it more. Because it always seems to just do like 3 and then disappear.
Why is this experience jumping
Jumping up by a few thousand. Does the boss drop like a ton of experience cubes?
Yeah. Well, probably he had to use the shield for it, and so he got a bunch of experience from the shield.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh my god.
This
Whoa.
is nuts. What the heck? Wow.
That's frightening.
That was really cool.
I think he's at 0 lives too. Let's see what his total is. Like 1 million something, or maybe even 10 million.
Let me go back and check it. That's super cool. Those core runs are always pretty interesting, but that's
Yeah,
just
definitely.
really...
Just a completely
see,
different
so-
way of approaching things.
I think 103,034,910.
That seems really high.
It
considering-
sounds high, but I guess compared to the rest of the scores. Alright, so
But
someone
of
said they
course,
needed epic narration. December 13th, AD 2309. The rebellion has been crushed and the Mars Independence Wars have come to an end. Needless to say, Acid Unit has made a strong name for themselves. But despite our victory, what was the true purpose of this war? Shit, this is going too fast. The federal
It's
government has
kinda
been
hard to
investigating, but the truth has yet to surface. There are many different opinions, but no real conclusions. It will be only a matter of time before the investigation closes and all the questions will be left unanswered. But within the ashes of Mars, people slowly began to rebuild their homes and lives. They do not care about the controversy or the war. They only know that they want to start rebuilding their homes and lives on Mars. After the war, civilization improved in all areas. The technology of infinity was used for the PNT, Planetary Network System. People began to immigrate to planets outside of the solar system. Also, the neural network system, Eden, has been installed, which controls all the systems in the planets. Peace has finally been restored.
Yeah, see, Mars Matrix is like the opposite of Ikaruga because you're actually trying to suppress a revolution.
That was like... That makes very little sense.
It's true. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Also, people began to rebuild their lives and homes on Mars. All they knew was that they wanted to continue to rebuild their lives and homes on Mars. Okay.
Well, you know, some of it's probably lost in translation, I suppose.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure they did not put too much effort into the plot.
Yeah, I always wonder what that looks like on an arcade monitor, because they're they're adding scan lines in the
Yeah, I know, isn't that weird? I know, I've noticed that.
That's funky.
Seems like it would not actually be a good idea.
You know, it could work. The rest
I mean,
of
it
the
looks
games,
nice.
like the UI looks like it's supposed to use
Yeah.
scan lines and everything, but
Yeah.
I like the one rose petal. Also, I love that it has like this really serene, calm ending music, and then when it gets to the ending, the game over, it's just like just wait for it, wait for it.
It's probably the cheesiest game over sound effect ever.
Like, what the hell?
Game over.
Where did that come from? I'm sorry, but it's just so.
The robot voice and all.
Oh god, that's great. That's great. All right, so we're wrapping up here. We're very close to the end. So I guess what is there left to say? If anything.
Well, somebody did ask about the extras in the Dreamcast version earlier, and I could go over them kind of quickly. Basically, you get there's like a shop, and your score adds up to money that you can buy things in the shop with.
Right. Yes.
Most of it's kind of boring, and there's also like an arranged version. It's actually kind of interesting because there's two arranged versions. One of them is just the regular game, except for that when you use your piercing cannon, it like makes gold cubes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and that I think well, I'm not sure what that's like if you like play the whole thing, because I think I've only used it in Score Attack. But that's the only one where you can actually set your power. So like for practicing the 6th stage especially, it can be kind of useful because it's not like you're chaining anyways. It makes it hard to practice chaining.
Mm-hmm.
But the 6th stage is a lot different if you're powered down, and you can't really power up quickly in it like you can in the other stages.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. The arranged mode is very interesting. I haven't looked into it very much, but the Score Attack version of that is the same thing, where using the piercing cannon creates gold cubes, so that makes it hard to practice chaining in. There's like images that you can buy in the shop, which are kind of cool. Let's see, what else is there? There's like, you can get in the arrange mode only, you can get different ship colors, which is basically just a palette swap, where it's green for the blue ship and like purple, I think, for the red ship. Nothing else different. There's the Score Attack mode, which the non-arranged Score Attack mode is just normal, except for that you always start at 0 experience and you can't start powered up or anything. Still very useful for practicing stages. And I mean, that's what you saw with Rob's Stage 2 video. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then there's also the strategy videos which you can buy in the shop, and those are kind of useful because it just shows you in score attack mode like a replay of somebody who's one lifing each one of them.
Oh, that's cool. So sort of like Conquest mode in the GameCube port of Icariga, where they have like a super play strat that you can copy.
Yeah, basically.
That's neat. I like it when
think
games
it's
do that.
Like at the time, I'm pretty sure this was like one of the most deluxe shooting game releases ever, pretty much in terms of extra stuff. But I think Ikaruga, if I understand correctly, it has a lot more stuff.
It is an amazing practice mode in the GameCube version.
Like you can play the slowed down versions of the stages and stuff.
Yeah, you can play at half speed.
Cool. Yeah,
it's really cool. Yeah, so
that's basically all of the extras. Oh, and auto fire, which I already talked about.
Yeah. So are there questions from chat? This is a really interesting game. It's relatively playable. It's on Dreamcast. It is emulatable, although I haven't emulated it myself to check the accuracy or anything.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's a really, really cool game. I think it has a lot of really interesting stuff to offer, and it people who like it really, really like it, and that's something that I've always noticed is it's got a really huge kind of community behind it, which I think is cool. So, yeah, what questions do people have? What do we need to talk about, or are we done? I mean, that's fine too. The go play a Mars Matrix. That's
yes, exactly.
I should have made a banner. Wow, I'm a failure as a human being. I didn't make a banner. Bummer. Oh,
well, okay. I mean, there's always the image that I made a while back with one of the like art things from the game and just the
Go play Mars Matrix. Send it and I'll put it up on stream. There we go.
Maybe I could. Here.
Yeah. When is the sequel coming out? When Takumi is undead?
Yeah, right, exactly. When Capcom actually decides to do something with it, which will be never, just like Pro Gear.
Soft drink, watch the Zoxac review. Okay, I will watch the Zoxac review. Should I do that on stream? I don't know if that's appropriate.
It's probably not a good idea.
But I will do it later.
Yeah. Also, there's the CGR review is pretty good too. It's got 4 parts.
Yeah, the CGR review is definitely good. I've seen that one, and also Mark is just awesome. So watch it.
Right.
Let's see. 6-frame delay on MAME. That's.
It's pretty good. There's actually very little input lag in Shmup MAME.
Oh, in Shmup MAME it might be better. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I understand that that's a very outdated thing at this point, but
well, it is outdated. But if it works, it works.
Sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. We are actually running up against the edge of our time, so I don't want to run another video, but we can take another couple questions if people have them. We do have we have a couple more minutes, but not like 10.
I can't seem to find the thing that I made. I don't think I'll be able to find it fast enough anyway. But I'll post it in the thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess the short version is go play Mars Matrix.
Right.
It's cool. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see this and get a better understanding of the game. It's a game I've been interested in for a long time, but it kicks my ass, and I always felt like I wasn't that approachable. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got a big. Also, you're getting really soft for some reason, your voice, but it's got a really big difficulty curve. But then it's awesome once you get past it.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps it up then, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in to watch. Thank you so much, Lord Hypnos, for coming on to provide commentary for this. I'm really glad that I was able to. Yeah, thank you. I hope I did a good job talking about all the things. Yeah, I think it was good. So many things to say. Definitely. Yeah, so with that, STG Weekly number 87, Mars Matrix, is over. I don't know what, if anything, we will have next week. Because people are a little busy. Well, we'll see. Hopefully we got something cool coming up. I have some ideas. Anyways, later guys. And thanks for watching.